So, welcome back to another episode. And, you know, every day I love empowering myself, and it's nothing better than empowering myself and bringing on amazing guests. So, some of you may remember our current guest today is Andrea Merrill, and she came on, probably a few months ago now to talk about her empowering story. But she's done so much more since the last time we've had conversation with her. So, I wanted to bring her back. So, once again, we have Andrea Merrill. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me back.
You know, we just have that girl vibe going.
Yeah.
And I know we connected from the minute that you and I met. It was just like this great instant chemistry. And I love that. But I think a lot of it is that in business, there's so many imposters
Yeah.
and so many people about the I syndrome instead of the we syndrome. And when you and I connected, you were so authentic in your story. So, what I want to do is kind of go back and start for you to introduce yourself to our audience that may not have had the opportunity of meeting you a few months back. And then I want to kind of walk through where we are today. And I think today's show is going to be it's going to be great. So tell everybody you just have this incredible story. So
Thank
let's
you.
hear it from you, not from me. Let's hear it from you.
Thank you so much. And I'm with you on this. Like a lot of people are all about themselves, and we can't be all about ourselves, especially when we're sharing our stories, right? We have to have a connection. So, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story again, because I do think it becomes a we story because a lot of people can relate to what I went through. So, back in 2017, I started having severe migraines and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So they started doing process of elimination. And when they were doing that, they ended up taking out my birth control. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we have four kids. We were done. It was great. They were all in school. I felt like I hit a win, right? But here comes life again, and I ended up pregnant. It was like baby number five, here she comes. And I was freaking out because I was having these migraines and they weren't normal migraines. Like I honestly, if I'm being honest, Rhonda, I thought I had a brain tumor, like a brain cancer. And it was just an awful experience. So through my pregnancy, I ended up finding out that I have papilledemia pseudotumor cerebri. So it actually is a benign tumor that sits on my brain, pushes on my eyes, and pregnancy actually makes it worse. So I almost went blind. It was insane. Not only that, at 20 weeks pregnant, my appendix ruptured, pregnant with my fifth kiddo, and I had went to the hospital. It was insane. They put me on a morphine drip. Then all of a sudden, the doctor was going to release me. He actually thought that I was addicted to drugs. This is something that is like around an epidemic, right? That's going on in the world. But I'm like, seriously, like I'm pregnant. I'm not on drugs. I'm in a lot of pain. My husband had to take over. The nurse came in and was like, the doctor's going to release you. You shouldn't be released. I think it's your appendix. Do you still have that? And my husband was like, yes, she still has her appendix. My husband had went through losing his appendix at a young age. His appendix actually almost ruptured. So he knew the signs and symptoms. Thank God, because they emergency brought me in for a CAT scan. And when I came out, I was emergency lifted out. There was a helicopter there ready to take me. So I had my appendix rupture. Now, what's crazy is I got airlifted out 3 times. I caught MRSA. I went into preterm labor. I had to have a drain place. Whatever went wrong was gonna go wrong. It was insane. So, long story short, I ended up coming home first 7 days out of the hospital. It was great. My water broke a month early. I was like, oh my God, can I have her at home? Like, I do not want to go back to the hospital, but I went back to the hospital. And when we came home, my house was in foreclosure. My HOA was auctioning off my home, and my water got turned off. And I thought,
I've heard this story, and yet I still get the chills every time you say it because I look at that adorable face, you know?
oh,
I can't.
it was like a gut punch. Like I had already went through so much. How much more was God going to put on me? And I remembered that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. The water was only in my name. So I had to leave my new baby and I was devastated. I had this piece of crap red van that caught fire in freaking snow, Rhonda. Like this thing was garbage and it had no AC, dead summer in Arizona. It's like 120 plus degrees out. I went to the water company, have no idea how I turned on my water, but on the way home, I turned on a podcast and I started my business on my iPhone 8. I built my website on there, and my first 7 days in business, I landed $12,500. And it got us a new car. It got us out of the debt. It got us to where we could thrive and we didn't have to worry. Because honestly, Rhonda, I used to be a behavior and trauma therapist, and I didn't want to go back to that. That was not going to be my future. So I reinvented it.
I love, like, it's just one of those moments where for the people that are listening or the people that are watching, I need them to process how many life events you just named, in the last,
Yeah.
5 or 6 minutes. And then, you take this deep breath, not even a pause, a deep breath, and you say, I'm done. Today
Yeah.
is the first day of the new me because I'm stepping up because it's not okay for me to not be all that I want to be. And it's okay. And I say this out loud, it's okay to be in a position of employment that you're not thriving in. It's not okay if you don't do something about it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's where you and I are at. So talk to me for a few minutes so that everybody understands you are a trauma therapist by trade. That's not something that you just decided, hey, I'm going to open up my first, company and this is what I'm deciding to do. You've come with years of experience. So talk to me
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I was a behavior and trauma therapist for about 10 years, and I worked with high profile cases in Arizona, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So it was the rape cases, the murder cases, the children, the abuse, right? I've helped take down 2 trafficking rings. So it is something that is ingrained in me, and I even get chills thinking about it. I not only worked with the victims, I also went and worked with the perpetrators in the prison system. That is how deeply rooted I am in being a behavior and trauma therapist. You're absolutely right. I come with my master's degree in psychology of applied behavioral analysis. So it's really something that I love. Like, I deeply loved my work, but I worked like 100 hours a week. It was insane. Not only did I do that, I also helped with the victim advocacy. I also helped with rapid response teams. So I would be on call. So if there was a 911 call and a child or there was a victim involved, I would be deployed so I could come out out and help in that rapid response. Not only that, is I also would train parents through DCS, so Department of Child Safety. They have to go through parenting classes. I would give the parenting classes so that they could get their children back. I also went to court. I was in and out of court as well. So yes, I was deeply rooted in my job that I absolutely was by trade.
And I love that. And the reason why it was important to kind of highlight that skill set is because when we dive into our next segment, I just want to premise that there are a lot of people out there that claim that they are, yesterday they were cooking in a cafeteria of a school, and tomorrow their claim to fame is that they are a business coach or a trauma coach. So there's so many pathways, I think, and there's nothing wrong with doing one thing and leading into another. But when you are entering into a business, knowing the credentials of the people that are going to help you, I think is imminent. So once again,
Yeah.
we are speaking with Andrea Merrill. Some of you may have remembered her, so hopefully you stay tuned in because we have a whole show planned for you today. Amazing story. So we leave off with, hey, I'm a trauma therapist. I have all of these credentials. I'm now a mom of 5. My house is in foreclosure. My water is turned off. You're a hot mess.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop you. It actually empowered you. And so what I want to focus now is in your transformation. Walk me through, you're sitting there on your iPhone 8, you're creating your website. What's going through your mind? Who's your avatar? How do you take that first step and create that
Yeah.
business and go after those clients?
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember that so vividly. I actually was in this room right now. It was a guest room at the time. I had a blow up bed in here. I had my head like down. My husband, I was like, he's got to sleep. He's got work. I can be in here and I can work. So what I did was, and this is insane because I didn't know what the online world really looked like because that wasn't what I was doing. Now, what I will say, Rhonda, is when I was in the hospital, I helped my friend at the time rebuild her business, and I helped her reach $1 million in revenue. And I was
I'm
like,
really laughing because you're like, what? Wait, while I was in the hospital,
yeah.
not like getting well was your concern, helping your friend build her business was, but okay.
Yeah, while I was in the hospital and I was so bored. Like I was either in pain or I was bored. I was like I have nothing to do. I'm not going to sit here and watch TV. I'm going to help a friend. I'm going to learn a new trade, right? So I helped her do her website, her brand, her SEO. I got on sales calls. I'm dying right now. I got on sales calls and I helped her with her blog and like social media. So I had really went through the vast majority of like what you could do online. I was like, "Oh, well, if I helped her, I bet you there's other people that I could help." So I was in this room. I read a book. I actually put it on Audible, Wander Over Worry by Amber Ray. And I was really wondering, am I actually going to get a client? Like, how the hell do I even do this? Like, that's literally what was going through my mind. And I had signed up for a mentorship that I had to borrow money from my mom. It was $47 for this membership. And I remember going in there, asking tons of questions, trying to see what it was. She had different videos that was on how to get clients, how to go on social media, how to do those things. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go into Facebook groups. I'm going to look for job opportunities and I'm going to start dropping my website that I had built on my iPhone in a night, like literally stayed up till 3 a.m. in the morning doing my website on Squarespace. So nobody can tell me that they don't have the tools to start a business because we literally have it in front of us all the time. Like it's at our fingertips. We don't need fancy tools, the fancy website or the fancy computer, like, right? Like, we just need the things that are just going to get us to where we need to be for our next step. And that's what I was thinking was if I could just land one client, I can get a laptop. If I can land just one client, I can pay for my house. I can pay for the HOA, right? Like I could pay for these things that I needed to do. So I started dropping it. And then within the week, I literally had 3 clients. So I had 2 clients at $5,000, and then I got one client just for SEO at $2,500. That landed me the $12,500 so I could get the new car. And I actually got a computer built. It was awesome, like a gaming computer. I was like, I need like faster processor. Like, then I started thinking, okay, what are the things that are going to make my job easier in this new business so I can go and also fulfill what I had told these clients that I could fulfill.
What was that like? Because now you're in a brand new career, even though you're probably utilizing skill sets
Mhm.
that you learned from your primary at the time, that primary career
Right.
that you were in for so long. But now you have deliverables, and now you have that you're by yourself, you are marketing, you are a team of one. So not only do you have to continue to market and build and brand, but you have to offer and fulfill the deliverables. So what is that like for those people that are listening now and they're saying, how do you prioritize your time to getting both of those real full-time jobs done?
Yeah. Yeah, because and we can't forget because I had a newborn baby at this time. Like I had a little one. She was my little boss. My clients loved her. They've watched her grow up and I'm still in touch with my previous clients. They're like in love with her. So it's really down to all of my degrees, I have 3 degrees. I have their advanced degrees because I just have to go above and beyond all the time. It's just in my DNA. I got all of them online. So I am very familiar with being able to put my head to the ground and go after what I want by myself. Now, if you have never done that, then you're going to probably have a hard time. But my biggest suggestion is put on a podcast, put on a book, listen to the things that are going to motivate you. Find a community that can help you. You can do co-working sessions like with other people online and work on your stuff if that is what you need to do the fulfillment. So for me, I put my head to the ground and I was like, okay, what are the deliverables that I need? And I went back to my friend who I was working with. What is it that I delivered to her and how did I do that? So I went back to like the communication, the deliverables, what needed to be done, the website needed to be done, the brand needed to be done. They needed to be delivered through Adobe because I knew at the time like Adobe has to have we have to pull out different sets of logos. Like there was Submark, a big mark. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to this that I had to learn. But I was willing and able. And also, YouTube, guys. YouTube is amazing. Let's not forget that there are people out there literally putting out free content to help and support you through what you need to do. So there is lots of opportunities for you to have that in your skill set if you are willing and able. I also went to Udemy. I went on there. I would get small courses for like $12 and I learned exactly what I needed to do to be efficient and also thrive.
I love that. So for those people that don't know, Udemy and for Thrive. Tell them a little bit about what they could expect to receive.
Yeah, so with Udemy, um, what you can expect to see is you go on there and it is a learning platform. It's a bunch of videos or courses, actually, a bunch of courses on there that you can go and buy. And typically it's at a very deep discounted rate, which is awesome because that is beneficial for us, especially when we're starting out and you might not have all the funds, right? You might not want to throw in all that money. Now, I will be honest, I have always kept my business very, very lean. And that makes it easier for me to manage. And it also makes it easier for the client because now I know what I need to deliver to them or to recommend them going to. So keep your business very lean. But I honestly suggest like Udemy is a great place to go or even AppSumo.
You're so funny. Look at all of this knowledge. And once again, this is why we have Andrea Merrill on for today's show. So much information. I hope everybody that's listening and watching, they're digesting all of the things. And I think, again, what I want to go back to is how you got started. And I don't want to stay there. It's just you have such a remarkable journey. And when you find other women that have empowering stories, we just want to share them. Not that I don't bring men on with empowering stories, but the women's stories, I think, just go above and beyond, and again, this is why you come on. I have several other friends that come on because we're constantly in this world of evolving, right? We get bored. I don't know if it's our DNA, if it's our ADHD. So I'm sure those that are listening and watching that know me personally, they understand how you and I can click so well because we're cut from the same cloth. So let's talk a little bit about growing our brand, right? So
Hmm.
you've created your brand, you're now out there, you're marketing to clients, you're building your platform. Now it's time to really say, how do I keep myself sustainable and current? So that brings us into this, networking world. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your first experiences when you realized that you had to go out of your normal new comfort zone of hiding behind the computer. What was it like for you when you realized you needed to start interfacing in order to grow?
I love this because so when I started my business, I really didn't network and it went into COVID, right? Like COVID happened almost immediately. Um, I remember it very vividly. Like I had my head down working with my clients and then COVID happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what world is this? Now, I will say that opened doors because I ended up going on Indeed. And yes, there are job ops on there that are contract work. So I did that. And then after COVID, I realized like, okay, it's time to network. Like it's really time to get out there. This is scary. Like for me, I am an introvert. I'm not an extrovert. I very much enjoy being behind the computer. Like this is easy, easy chatting, right? And then now I'm like, oh, I have to go in front of people and do this. Well, I know how to do this. And the reason being is because I was a behavior and trauma therapist. I have the skill set and the good, effective communication to be able to go out into the world and start connecting with others. So, my first one, I very much remember this. I remember walking into the room and being like, oh shit, like, do I belong here?
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh, the women, they're incredible. Do I belong in this room? And I remember just very much feeling like that. And They were so inviting, so accepting. I had a great time. I was able to network. And when you network, guys, like it's not about being loud or yelling or crying. Like it is about it's about connecting with that other person on such a deep level. And when I say that, I mean, we need to connect with them because that is a way to help not only make a connection, but it's a way to grow your business. And we have to hold ourselves to an even higher standard when we are out in public because these people are going to be the lifeblood of your business.
Yeah. I think what happens, and it's safe to say, woman to woman, when you walk into a room, it doesn't matter how confident you feel in yourself, you're still sizing up everybody else that's there.
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, she's too fancy. She's too dolled up. She's not my cup of tea. So what happens is we make these judgments, and I hate to say that out loud, but it's true.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, you still walk into a room and you're sizing up who feels they are of like kind that you would connect with, because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for other people that we feel that we can connect with. And, I've met dynamic people and I've made the mistakes of sizing them up prematurely.
Mhm.
And I look for a common denominator in the room. But when you're new and you're walking into a room, how do you normally start your conversation and your introduction?
Yeah, so this is something that you really want to work on beforehand. So, and just for you guys to know, I'm no longer doing website design, branding, SEO. I am actually a storytelling speaker coach. So, the reason being is I burnt my business to the ground around a year ago, and I realized through helping my clients, they've made over $80 million in revenue. It's been incredible opportunity to be able to help them. But I realized it was through the email marketing, it was through the content that I was writing, and it was also through the keynotes that I had wrote and how I had helped them effectively come up with their message. So, when you are networking, you really need to have your 60-second pitch. This is something that makes people like, wow. Like, I want to talk to you more. So that is something that you really need to think about is what is it that you do? Why do you do it? And what's a wow factor that you can hit somebody with? Like that is something to really think about. So when I tell people what I do now, it's more around, hey, I've helped my clients generate over $80 million in revenue as a storytelling speaker coach. I'm so excited to meet you. And that's like, whoa, that's a wow factor, right? So
Yeah.
it's really about coming in with confidence. You want to have the confidence to talk to them. And if you're nervous, guys, tell them you're nervous. Like they're human beings. We're all human beings. Like we forget about that when we go in the room. We're like, oh, we got to be confident. We got to have our shoulders back. We have to have stand tall, right? But those are the things that we tell ourselves that we internally feel. It's not really how the conversation goes, right?
No, no, and I'm just listening because it's so true. And if you think about the room you're in, if you're there, whether it's at a conference, a networking event, a chamber of commerce, it doesn't matter. It could be even somebody's, they have a birthday party and you're invited and all the adults, are grouped around. Think about your environment. Everybody's there for the same purpose. So finding that common denominator is so important. If you're afraid, half the battle is getting into the room. You're in the room. Now take advantage. Find what I tell people is find one person that resonates with you and you can kind of team up, right? So if I'm very outgoing and you're not that outgoing, right? I will take you and make you, the person that I want to highlight. Hey, we were just in Miami. Andrea, come with me. Come
Yes.
meet people because it's not for everybody to be, they don't know how to cut in. They don't know how to blend themselves into a conversation that might already be there. Right. And those
Right.
are very uncomfortable positions for some people. So if you think about being in a room and everybody's already grouped together and you walk in by yourself and everybody's in these circles, you need to figure out, where do I belong and how do I engage in the appropriate conversation and where do I start? So what is your advice to somebody that's in that scenario?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent. That was so good, Rhonda. What it's about is like when you walk into that room, you have to look for your opportunity. So you had said like we were in Miami together. It was amazing. It was so much fun. Rhonda pulled me around. It was great. Like that was awesome. But I had to also break out, do my own thing, figure it out, right? So I looked for ways that I can come in and not interrupt. It was more about sliding in and like, hey, can I be a part of your conversation? That's an easy ask. Oh my gosh, I just overheard you. I do the same thing, or I love that way that you are thinking, right? So look for ways that you can come in on an opportunity versus a cut in, because you don't want to ever just barge in. You don't ever want to just like take over, jump in somebody's photo, do things like that. We want to effectively come in and showcase our skills. And gosh, guys, we got to highlight ourselves. That is what we are doing. We are highlighting who we are, what we stand for, what is our mission, vision, values. That really comes into play when you are out and about networking with people, whether you're speaking or not speaking. You have nonverbal communication as well too. So you need to make sure that you are coming in at such a higher caliber and really holding a standard for yourself.
I love that. Once again, we are speaking with Andrea Merrill. Hang tight because I'm not done with you. So, love, love, love this journey. So glad that you and I have connected and we've maintained our friendship over this period of time. You and I are now involved in something new. Really, it's one of your, really, we'll say kudos to Dennis Postema, but he has now taken you and you are now in yet another, I'll say passive but active role with a new organization called Boot, which stands
Yep.
for Business Owners of Tomorrow. So let's talk about Boot for a few minutes. Tell us how Dennis connected with you to get you involved, and what was it about his messaging for this new business opportunity that really caught you? Because I'll say it like this: you work with a high level of integrity, like I do, and you and I get pitched opportunities a lot. And so when somebody says to me, if you're a believer, we've already vetted. I think that would be the right word. When we have decided we're going to do something, people that follow us in our circles have then said, well, if it works for you, you've already vetted the scenario.
Yeah.
I'm in. So let's talk about Boot for a few minutes. So Dennis Postema, who's also been on the show,
Yep.
he's also the person that produced my book, Girl on Fire, and hosts through, um, you know, he also hosts a handful of my programs. But tell us how you got connected to Dennis, and then what was it about Boot that made you say, I'm in?
Yeah. So Dennis messaged me on Instagram, and I remember so vividly reading his message and him being wowed by me. And I went and looked him up. I went and checked him out. And I was like, he's wowed by what I do. Like, no way. Like, he's at a high caliber. There is no freaking way. He was like, like, I want you to come to Vegas. Let's record something in person. Let's get on a call. Like, let's work together. So I got on the first call with him and we hit it off. Like, I felt like I found like a long lost brother. Like we really hit it off. It was awesome. And then we met again. And when we met again, it then turned into me becoming his speaker coach, helping him redo his keynote. And then he saw the skills that I had and he was like, oh my God, I have an amazing opportunity. And I was like, okay, like I've heard these opportunities, I've heard everything. Like, okay, let me hear about it. So he tells me about the Boot Society, and I was floored. Like, I was like, yes, I'm in. And not only that, I became the CMO to his company. I'm a partner, and I'm the partner in Boot. And it was like an amazing opportunity, right? Like, I was like, wow, like he chose me. But clearly, I do have the skills. It's not like I don't have them, and he saw them and it was an amazing opportunity. So now we've come together. There is a true trust recession going on right now. And I love that Dennis talks about this because there is a trust recession. Lots of people talk about come to my membership, come to my group, come to my mastermind, come to whatever thing. And then they don't fulfill on what they give. And this is so frustrating. There's a lot of people that have signed up for things, including myself, and I have left more starving than feeling full.
Yeah.
And I do not love that. So, the Boot Society is really an exclusive invite only community that is really designed for visionary business owners like you, right? So, this is a way that you can connect, you can learn, you can grow with industry leaders and like-minded entrepreneurs in such an intimate and impact setting so that Boot Society can be known as like they can be known as micro celebrity leaders in their niche. Like you don't have to be a celebrity to have growth. This is an opportunity to learn from multimillionaires. You can learn from like the people that you see that you're like, oh my God, I wish I could talk to them. This society is going to have them in there.
It's almost a gateway.
Mm-hmm.
I almost look at it as a gateway. I've talked to Dennis for probably over a year when he had this in growth mode.
Yeah.
Um, Ideas are created every day, but it is the systems that you put into place that makes something operational,
Yeah.
right? So again, as entrepreneurs, we're creatives. Being a creative doesn't mean that you have the strength, time, and ability to put together the process.
Right.
So Boot has been around, it just hasn't been launched. And when I was speaking to Dennis and he said, I'm bringing Andrea on, I was like, oh my God, amazing. Because you just can't do everything alone.
No.
And you can have the ideas. There's the person that sits there directing, I need you to do this, this, and this. And then there's the implementation. So I think what I love about Boot is that it comes complete with the ability to network, but it's an educational platform. There's, so much depth that as it continues to grow, those people that are getting in now, they understand, right? They
Yeah.
understand where the value is. And I think a good part of the messaging that you just said is so many of us are attracted to the word, I'll use the word influencer. They are
Yeah.
people within their niche that have succeeded, and we're attracted to their level of success, and we want to know what is their formula, what was their, what's their secret, how did it happen. We're all starving for information, right? You
Yeah.
use the word starving. You go to a mastermind, you're like, how did I just show up to this buffet and I left hungry? And it's
Yeah.
because sometimes the information in the room is just not fulfilling, or it was misleading. And as soon as there's been a disconnect, you're done,
Right.
right? There are, I will say this out loud. There are a tremendous amount of people that are influencers that are imposters.
Yeah.
It's so let's just for a minute remind everybody, because you and I have been through this.
Yeah.
Um, just because you look a certain way on social media does not mean that that is true and accurate. And there are a lot of times, and I'm sure that I'll get a phone call after saying this, that if you have the finances, you can get on any stage you want. We call it pay to play.
Yeah.
So as soon as you are engaged on a certain level and you've been accepted onto certain stages, there are those people that have an invitation to speak and the people that need to pay to speak. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Those are career starters. But you have to know the difference between who's an imposter and who's not. And what I love about Boot is that everybody has been vetted. And the
Yeah.
people that are part of the society, including those very affluent influencers that you and I both know, the beauty that I love is that they've been vetted, they've been scrubbed, and they're making themselves accessible to share their story, their vision, their philosophy, and sometimes just simple practices. So, with that, tell everybody two things. Number one, how do they connect with you if they are interested in learning more about Andrea? And
Yeah.
then, how do people that are listening who may want to be either influencers on the boot, for Boot Society, or somebody's interested in just learning more about the membership? So, let's talk about those two.
Yeah, so you can find me at andreamerrill.co, so co. And you can find me at the Andrea Merrill on any social media platform. So I typically hang out in Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are my two drug of choices right there with the social media. So I love those. And then for the Booth Society, that is something that I want you to specifically reach out to me on Instagram for. So I want you to message me there. Tell me that you heard me on this amazing radio show here with Rhonda. So make sure you tell me that Rhonda sent you and that you want to know more about the Boot Society. So it's the Andrea Merrill, and message me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and let me know that you would like to be a part of Boot.
I love it. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, a pleasure. So great to finally hang with you in Miami last week. And hopefully we'll get together soon. So
Yeah.
until next time, I love you, girl. Stay tuned. We're getting ready to bring you information for next week's show.